Hey guys, and welcome back for another tutorial. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make this super cute trick-or-treat bag. This is the perfect size for a little one, not too big, not too small, a great little tote. You can personalize it with some vinyl. I chose to make it out of this adorable cotton print and an orange lining. Now with all my tutorials, the measurements will be over at the blog post, which will be linked below, as well as the information icon. And if you're not already, I would love it if you subscribe, hit that notification bell to be alerted of new and future tutorials, and of course, smash the like button, as the kids like to say. Okay, so for this tutorial, you'll need 2 pieces of outer fabric, 2 pieces of lining, and then 2 pieces for your straps. So those measurements, again, will be over at the blog post. I am also going to be using medium interfacing with this fabric because it's cotton and it's a little flimsy. I will iron on the medium weight interfacing onto the back to make my bag a little bit more rigid and have more structure. And I also did that for the handles. If you're using maybe a canvas, then you might be able to skip the interfacing steps. So just keep that in mind. So the first thing I'm going to do is work on my straps. And I'm just going to make my classic straps. So I'm going to take my fabric and I'm going to fold it lengthways in half. And then I'll open it up and then I'll fold down both sides 1/4 of an inch. And then again, you just fold it all the way and then you will sew up both down the one side and then down the other side, and then that will create your strap. If you're looking for more ideas on straps, I do have a tutorial with a few different variations of straps. And if you want to skip straps altogether, then you can just go and grab some webbing or some cute ribbon. So you can totally skip this if you want to make this a super quick tote bag. So now that I have both of them ironed up, then I'm just gonna go and do a top stitch along both sides of the fabric, and that will close up my strap and then also add decorative stitching so it looks like an actual strap. So when I do my top stitching, I like to bump my machine up to a 3 stitch length. I usually like to hover around a 2.5 for the rest of the project, but for top stitching, I think it looks a little nicer to have a longer stitch length. So I'm just gonna do it about 1/8 of an inch away from the edge, and then I'll do that for both straps. So after that, I'm just going to place my straps to one side and we can start working on the main body of the bag. So I'm just going to take the outer fabric and I'm going to put those 2 pieces with the right sides together. Make sure that if you do have a directional fabric that they're, going the right way so that you don't end up with a piece upside down. And then we'll take our lining fabric and we'll place those with the right sides together. Now, of course, I'm just using a regular orange cotton, so there is no right or wrong side, but just remember that your lining also should be right sides together. And then we're going to sew down the side, down the bottom, and then back up the other side, leaving the top open. Now when I do my tote bags, I like to have 2 different seam allowances for the outer with the lining. Because we're going to be inserting the lining into the outer fabric, sometimes it doesn't fit quite well if you have identical seam allowances. So basically I just do like 1/4 of an inch for the outer fabric, and then I'll do a 5/8 of an inch for the lining fabric. And that's just going to make your lining a little bit smaller so that it fits nicely inside the outer fabric. Normally I'll just line up the side of the fabric with the side of my presser foot, and when I move over to my lining fabric, I'll move my needle over a little bit so that I don't have to keep track of the little lines on the machine. So I'll just move my needle to make the larger seam line. So now we're going to work on boxing the bottom of our tote bags. So I'm going to go into the lining fabric and I'm going to kind of push the corner out to create it into a triangle, and I'm going to line up the side seam with the bottom seam. And sometimes, if you're not perfect at this step, you can just reach into the bag and make sure that it is lined up, your side seam with your bottom seam. And then I'll just stick a pin right into the seam so that I can make sure it stays nice and lined up so there's no shifting when we go to do the next step. So next I'm going to get a ruler and a marking tool, and I'm just going to measure 4 inches from side to side, or 2 inches up from the corner. Now, if this is too large for you, you can of course reduce the measurement. If you want to have it to be 2 inches wide or 3 inches wide, then you would just measure that accordingly. But of course, the smaller your box bottom will be, then the taller your bag will be also. So I chose to do a 4-inch box bottom, and I'm just drawing the line right across, and I'm going to sew right down that drawn line. And I did that for all 4 corners, the 2 corners in the lining, and then the 2 corners in the outer fabric. And I accidentally didn't film part of this, but then I cut the excess fabric from the corners of the lining and the outer fabric. So now we are going to start to assemble the bag. I like to take the outer fabric, and I'm just going to flip that with the right sides out, and we will leave the lining inside out, and we're going to place the lining inside of the outer fabric. But before I do that, I like to hem the top of the lining as well as the outer fabric. This just kind of helps speed up this process. So I'll just fold it in about a 1/2 inch, and I'll press that, and then I don't have to do it later. I find that if I just do this quick step on the outer and the lining, then inserting the lining in there is so quick. So if you want to make the hem of your lining a little bit larger, just so that it doesn't, it could be a little too big at the bottom of your bag, or if you want to inset your lining a little bit also, like I like to do. So you'll see what I'm talking about in a minute. But when I put my lining in, I don't usually like to have the lining right to the edge of the fabric. I like to have it in just a little bit, and I just think it looks a little bit more professional. And then it kind of, if there is any waviness or unevenness with your lining at the top of your bag, then you won't see like little peaks of lining coming out. So I'm just going to line up the side seams, and then I will place my straps. So that's why I said earlier to have that little bit of a larger seam allowance for the bag. This really does make the lining fit perfectly when you go to do this next step. So next I'm just going to place the straps. I'm going to put them 2 inches in from the side seams. So I'm just going to place those, and then I'll put a pin in them. And I just put it in like a 1/2 inch. I didn't put it in too much. I wanted to have a good amount of strap for the kids. And then we'll place the other side of the strap 2 inches away from the side seam again, and make sure that you don't twist your straps, because I have done that. Okay, so after that, we are going to do the other side. Place that strap in the exact same manner, and then we can start sewing up the bag, and then we are almost done. This bag seriously takes no time at all. And if you have a system and you cut out all your pieces and they're all ready to go, you can just fly through these. So I really love these bags. They're so cute, and my kids are super excited to use them on Halloween night. So yeah, I'm just gonna do a top stitch all the way around the rim of the bag, and I'll go over the straps to make sure those straps stay nice and secure. If you want to do an extra little seam on the strap, or if you want to do a little box there just for extra security, you can do that. I don't anticipate this taking a very heavy load, considering they're not going to go very long. My kids are young still, so they won't get too much candy. So it should be fine the way it is, and I think it turned out super cute. I made 2 of them, so you can check out pictures of the other one over at the blog post, and I hope that you guys have an amazing Halloween if that is what you celebrate, and if not, this is a great tote for any other occasion. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next tutorial. Bye guys!